Blessings and welcome back to my YouTube channel. You being here always means a lot to me, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So today we're gonna cook the authentic Mende Sakii Tombuei, or cassava leaf as is popularly known, but in the Mende tribe it's called Sakii Tombuei. And I'm a Mende girl, so I'm the best person for you to learn from because I know my way around the kitchen. So please do watch this video, learn, try it, and let me know in the comment below what you think, okay? So I have some goat meat in my pot, and then I'm also gonna add about 3 Maggie cubes onto my goat meat. You can use whatever seasonings you prefer. I mostly cook with Maggie cubes, salt, adobo seasoning when I'm cooking African sauces. So you can choose whatever works for you. And I blended 1 habanero pepper and a little bit of onions, and I'm gonna pour that onto my goat meat. And then as you can see, I have the lid of my pot. It's wrapped with foil because I'm going to steam this goat meat for about 10 to 15 minutes. So the foil sort of helps with the steaming process. And then we'll come back and add some more water to, let it officially cook. Okay, so I have some Kuta fish. We eat it a lot back home. So it's been in the freezer for quite a long time. So usually because of that, it loses its flavor. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, first pull it apart. And guys, this fish is rock hard. I mean, I'm struggling, as you can see. I don't have a lot of muscle strength, so this is a job. You can see the eyes on the fish if you look at it closely. Okay, yeah. So I just sort of gave up on that. So as you can see, I have a little bit of water in the pot because, like I said, we're going to steam the fish with some salt. So I'm just going to place the rest of the fish into the pot. And then, yeah. And then for those itty bitty chunks, we're just going to, put that into our Sakii Tombuei later on. Then I'm gonna sprinkle some salt. So for this, I didn't really measure it. So just sort of like, I guess, estimate in your head. And no, it's not a lot of salt. It's just right, just enough. And then as you can see, I also have my foil. I think it's an obsession now. Whenever I'm steaming something, I use foil over the lid. So I'm gonna let it steam cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes. Our Kuta fish is officially steamed, and it tastes so good because I tasted it earlier on with the salt. Just a lot more flavor to it. So I'm gonna put this in at the very last minute in our Sakii Tombuei. I'm having so much fun saying that word. But yeah. Okay, so I have some onions, just sort of like chop it up. The size really doesn't matter because I'm gonna blend it. And I also have some okra, as we say back home. And then I have 2 habanero pepper. For the pepper, you can have as many or as less as you want. I love spice, so I put a lot of spice in my food. So for the okra, there's something very specific. You don't want to put too much okra, okay? So maybe just a little handful of okra, not a lot, because if not, your cassava leaf will be extremely slimy, and you don't want that. So make sure just a handful of okra, okay? And then I'm just gonna blend it all up, and then we will use this later in our cooking. My goat meat has been cooking for about close to 40 minutes. It's pretty tender. So at this point, we're gonna add in our Sakii Tombuei. So we're really gonna let it cook because we don't want it to be chewy, you know. We want it to be completely softened out. Because in Salon, we can usually say, you know, I made the cassava leaf, the crack na you mouth, you know, you are making, you know, for chama so hard. My hands are clean, guys, so I'm just gonna put my hands in that bag and just scoop out all this, you know, cassava leaf and make sure it's in my pot because, you know, I need all of that. So I only have 2 bags of cassava leaf. Guys, excuse my messiness. Look at my hands. They're completely covered in cassava leaf. So now we're gonna add our peanut butter into the Sakii Tombuei. I don't know why I'm laughing whenever I say that word. So I'm gonna add all of that in there. I'm also gonna pour some water into my bowl because I want to make sure I have all of that peanut butter into my sauce. Guys, so you really want to make sure you allow your cassava leaf to cook because we want that smell. There's a really odd smell that you usually have. You want to cook it so much that that smell completely fades out. You know, you don't want to smell that anymore. And then also you want to cook it until the peanut butter as well is completely cooked, because if you look at it closely, there is like those tiny bit of chunks that you see in there. You don't want to see it anymore. When it's completely cooked, it all fades out. So we're gonna let it cook for, let's say, close to 20 minutes, okay, and come back. Look at it. So it's been close to 20 minutes. The smell, that odd smell that you usually have, is completely gone. You can see the peanuts butter is cooked as well too. You don't see any chunks. I mean, look at it. It just looks smooth, you know. So that's what you want. Okay, so I have about a cup and a half of palm oil. Not 2 cups, please. Cup and a half. I'm gonna pour that in there. And then we're also gonna let your palm oil cook. Let it cook for about 2 to 3 minutes because you want that old smell that it has to fade out. And plus, you don't want to taste raw uncooked palm oil in your cassava leaf. So make sure you let it cook, please. Okay, look at how beautiful that looks already. It's the color for me. It looks so good. Guys, I like to hype myself up when I'm cooking, so don't mind me. So we're gonna let that cook, and then we will come back and see the final result. This is what it looks like. You can see that the palm oil is cooked. Now we're gonna add in our ogiri. The reason why I'm putting in the ogiri now and not earlier on is because we don't want our ogiri to overcook to the extent that you can't even smell it anymore. You don't even know ogiri is in there. You want to keep the smell of the ogiri. You know, you want people to smell, to know that, you know, ogiri is in your cassava leaf, and you want the flavors to not, you know, what is the word, be gone. So I'm gonna add maybe just a tablespoon of ogiri into my Sakii Tombuei. And then I'm also gonna add our okra and onions and peppers that we blended earlier on today. We're gonna also pour that in there as well. Just mix it up a little bit, not a whole lot. You can see when you add in the okra and all that stuff, it makes the cassava leaf a little thicker. And also, I don't like my cassava leaf too soupy, so that's why if you see it really thick. Remember our kuta fish that we seasoned with some salt because it's been in the freezer for quite a long time, so it doesn't have a lot of flavor anymore. So at this point, we're also gonna place that into our cassava leaf. Guys, I was initially gonna use my hands, but I'm like, you know what, let me just use the wooden spoon. So I'm gonna, place all of that fish in there. And then one thing that I want to remind you guys of, initially in the video, I only used about 3 Maggie cubes for my goat meat when I was seasoning it. And then also the salt that I used to steam the kuta fish. So to me, that was enough for my cassava leaf. It has a lot of flavor, but you can just taste your cassava leaf and see if you need more, okay? And then I'm also going to add about 2 habanero peppers because, I love my spice. So I'm gonna cover it up, and then when we come back, you guys will see the finished Sakii Tombuei. Okay, so this is the finished look of our Sakii Tombuei. Guys, look at that. And then our habanero pepper is fully cooked, as you can see.